We welcome you to downtown Oklahoma City and Thunder playoff postgame, Game 2 of the NBA Finals between the Indiana Pacers and the OKC Thunder in the books. The final score 123-107, and this series is now all tied up 1-1 as we welcome you back inside of Paycom Center alongside Royce Young. I am Paris Lawson. And after an emotional Game 1 loss where the Thunder fell by just 1 point after leading by as many as 15 right here inside of this building, this Thunder team has done what they've done all season long. That's get back to baseline, get back to 0-0. And what we saw here today, it wasn't an overreaction. It was just the Thunder playing Thunder basketball.
Perfectly said, Paris, because, after what happened in Game 1, I'm sure everybody in Oklahoma or beyond walked around, they saw their friends the next day, and everybody's reaction was just kind of the same as, that was a gut punch of a game with the way that the Thunder controlled Game 1 and the way that the Pacers were able to come and take it at the final buzzer with Halliburton. And for this young team to have to be the ones that sat in that, for 48 hours, the 2 days off made it very challenging to be able to move on from that game because you just had to think about it and replay the shots in your head, replay the moments. But this team, as we've seen, like you said, Paris, Mark Daigneault said it as well, this is the type of team that you can really believe in the fact that they are going to get back to baseline, going to get back to zero. They have that uncommon nature about them, that uncommon maturity. And we saw it basically from tip-off. They looked like themselves. They started playing the game. They got into the flow of the game. They were not carrying with them what happened in Game 1. They focused on Game 2. They were where their feet were. That's something they always talk about. And they thoroughly won Game 2.
Now, you'll see the final score of this game. You'll see that the Thunder had this double-digit victory. But for the first 12 minutes, this was a very tightly contested contest. Back and forth between the Thunder and the Pacers in the first quarter. But Royce, that second quarter, Oklahoma City really punched down the door and started to walk away with this one.
Got some of their transition opportunities to go and really kind of got into the flow of the game, stacking stops, defense to offense there. There was a couple key moments in that second quarter, too, where the Pacers, I think they went on a 9-0 run.
Yes.
And it really kind of felt like, here comes the tension again. And the Thunder called timeout, got a Shai bucket, got a Caruso three, and just punched right back. Those types of sequences in a game, especially of this magnitude, just emotionally, I think count for a lot more than the 5 to 7 points or whatever it was that they ended up with. It matters so much more to be able to reestablish kind of the dominance that you had throughout that first half.
Another interesting factor in this game, the Thunder didn't shoot the ball well in Game 1. The shot making wasn't quite there. The Thunder shot the ball considerably better in this game here today, shooting 48% from the field, and a lot of that, Royce, was efficiency in the paint, which is something we didn't quite see in Game 1.
Yeah, it just didn't finish well in Game 1. And the Thunder lived in the paint in Game 1 and did much better job of finishing in this one. And then that led to a lot of more rhythm looks from the perimeter. Alex Caruso, 4 of 8 from 3. Yeah. How about Aaron Wiggins?
Amazing.
Stepping in.
Saving basketball.
Finals opportunity. Absolutely. He's got that on his resume in a number of ways, and he is validating the fact that he is the savior of basketball. Just huge minutes in this one, knocking down big shots. And a lot of those shots that Wiggs hit were just timely, too.
They were.
It felt like they were the types of shots that really just kind of boosted the energy and the emotions of the team. Just such a weapon to have off your bench to be able to tap into guys like that.
Let's talk about Aaron Wiggins a little bit more. I think he deserves it because in Game 1, he only played 9 minutes. In this game, he's above 20 minutes on the court, and we saw a very confident, assertive Aaron Wiggins. I think his first bucket, he drives, spins, finishes at the rim, tough finish, and then goes on to make 4 more threes in that game.
And it's just, again, that's one of the beauties of guys like Wiggs, or really a lot of guys on this team. We've seen it throughout the season. Jay Will, Isaiah Joe. So many guys are ready to step into their role and be effective when they get that opportunity. Wiggins is kind of the quintessential guy. Mark Daigneault's talked about how he's kind of mastered the system. And so much of what we saw from Wiggins tonight was just that body of work put in, that he's really trained that muscle all season long, that some nights he's a 30-minute guy, some nights he's a 10-minute, and it all stacks up to a game like this where he seizes the opportunity. Game 2 of the NBA Finals, brightest lights in the sport, and he comes up huge.
Well, the Thunder absolutely dominated in terms of bench points tonight. Another guy who had a big impact on that, Alex Caruso. And how about this? Our very own Nick Gallo caught up with him right after that buzzer. Let's listen in.
Alex, the defensive tone on the things that you guys prioritize, namely transition in the paint, it was there from the very beginning. Tell me about that aspect of what you did defensively to get this job done.
Yeah, I think we had a lot of the same effort we had in the first game. just a little more concentration on a couple plays and finishing possessions. That being said, we still weren't perfect. There's still rooms for us to grow and be better, especially finish out possessions, rebounding the ball. But, hats off to the team for coming back and responding.
How about the angles on the attacks tonight? It just felt like at the rim, everybody was sharper, much cleaner on the 2-point shots and everything in the paint.
Yeah, we just try to put our head down and really be forceful. Really get to the rim, and we did a good job of not forcing it when there was too many bodies in there. Spraying for open shots, and then playing downhill in transition.
You got it going from behind the arc. Aaron Wiggins did as well. Tell me about the bench and the way that you guys maybe played together in terms of being able to collaborate and dominate that aspect of the game.
Yeah, I mean, every game it's going to be somebody on the bench. We never know whose turn it is, so just staying ready. Tonight it was me and Wiggs, and other nights it's other guys. Kenrich came in, had a good stretch for us too. We just stay ready. Our number's going to be called at some point, so just staying ready.
All right, thanks, Alex. Congrats on the win.
Thanks, Nick.
20 points for Alex Caruso in this game. He and Aaron Wiggins combined for 38 points off the bench for Oklahoma City. And one thing you can always count on for Alex Caruso, it's impact. Yeah. And it looks different, I feel like, Royce, every single game. A lot of the times it's on the defensive end of the floor. He's scrapping for those steals, those loose balls, deflections. Today, how about this? Knocking down 4 threes.
Yeah, we saw it early in the season with AC where he'd play 17 minutes in a game and sometimes not score, and you felt every single minute he was out on the court because he makes such an impact. He is such a ball hawk, knows for the ball. He's always involved all over the court, high energy, high hustle all the time. And then you get games like this where he shows you what he's also capable of. He's not just a defensive ace. He is a knockdown three-point shooter. He's also great at driving the basketball, also a great connector of the floor. We've seen him sneak in on the dunker spot at different times, really clever at that off-ball movement. So Alex Caruso, I mean, the simplest way to describe him, he's just a guy that knows how to play. He plays the game the right way. He's always in the right spot. Great defensive instincts, but also a very underrated offensive impact player.
And he's always had the confidence in himself to step up in these moments and knock down those shots with confidence. Of course, he was still impactful on the defensive end of the floor. Let's not get it twisted. And Oklahoma City, not as many turnovers forced in this game as we saw in Game 1, but Indiana didn't shoot the ball as well. So there were a lot of empty possessions that the Thunder was forcing defensively.
It's interesting you say that, Paris, because I think as people have kind of learned this historically good Thunder defense, number 1 defense in the NBA all year, I think a lot of people have just associated with the disruptive nature of them.
The steals.
And that's sort of what they saw in Game 1, especially in that first half. It's like, see, this is that defense we were talking about. I thought the Thunder played better defense tonight than they did in Game 1. And yes, the steals are a byproduct. We've heard a lot of the players. Dub talked about that the other night. Mark Daigneault's talked about that recently. A lot of times that's kind of what happens within the structure of the defense, but they're never necessarily hunting those steals and that disruption. It just kind of happens within the flow of the fundamentally sound defense. But tonight, they just made every possession difficult. There were so many Pacer offensive possessions where the shot clock was at 8, and they were still kind of in a 3-man weave action out there at half court, and just were really just up against it. And the Thunder did such a good job of removing basically every first, second, and third action that the Pacers were trying to get to.
Now, we would be remiss if we didn't also talk about the MVP of the league.
He's pretty good.
The leading scorer in this game, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, finishing with 34 points on, I would call, hyper-elite efficiency. 34 points on 21 shots, Royce.
And kind of similar. I mean, Shai had 38 in Game 1. He was fantastic. He was better tonight, even with fewer points. Just the management of the game. He had complete control of it, especially as the Pacers kind of tried to adjust some of their schemes. Their pickup points were really high. They were really physical. Nembhard was all over Shai at different points.
And then
they really tried to trap. They blitzed him in the pick and roll, and they were trying to trap him. And Shai was so good at splitting that with that low dribble. I think, again, one of the many underrated elements of Shai is his handle, because in traffic, he just split those. And now he had just a defense in complete scramble mode, kicking out the shooters. That's where a lot of what we saw get from AC or Wiggs, it was a product of Shai just breaking down the Pacers defense. And that was kind of a desperation move from them to try to get the ball out of his hands, but he was so good at splitting those double teams.
Well, and you see the 34 points, but he also had 8 assists in this one. And the ball movement in this game, I think, was a big takeaway from the Thunder in Game 1. Their ability to just get that blender going, get a lot of guys involved. And Shai having 8 assists in this game is a great indicator that ball was
moving.
And
the team had 25, which in Game 1 only 13. Very uncharacteristic of the Thunder. Again, I think that had something to do with a little bit of Indiana's scheme in that game, with the way that the Thunder kind of attacked them. But the Thunder typically, I mean, And to get an assist, the ball has to go in the basket. Because it didn't help.
Good
The
point.
Thunder weren't making some of the shots that they were generating. But tonight, 25 assists, I think, is a good indicator of how well the ball did move and get into those kind of rhythm possessions and those rhythm shots.
And then we just got to talk about the full well-rounded performance by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We talk about the offense. How about 4 steals for SGA in this one tonight? Just word to the wise, don't try to make a post-entry pass against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You would think that would be like top line of the scouting
I feel
report.
like other teams need to be watching us for a scouting report because we've been saying that all season long.
I don't understand why they still try to do it.
His instincts and his length really, I think, surprises people.
Yeah.
The way he's able to kind of – it's like, he's known for kind of slithering on the offensive end. He sort of does it on the defensive end, too, where he kind of slithers around the guy.
Point, yeah.
He kind of dips and gets those angles to find a way to get to the ball. He also had a fantastic block down here. I don't remember who it was on, but just an incredibly athletic play from SGA. And, again, what we see from him, and it's just the standard of every player on this team, you got to play both ends of the floor all the time, and that's what we saw from Shai. There's a reason he's the MVP.
Incredible stuff from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and this entire Thunder roster. What about we hear from Thunder head coach Mark Daigneault, who is now at the podium addressing the media. Let's listen in.
Indiana's kind of an acquired taste. We haven't played them a ton. They're not in the West, obviously, and they play a very distinct style on both ends, and I thought there were a lot of things tonight that we were just like a little better in and more comfortable, and that was on both ends of the floor. I just thought the guys did a good job of just improving, which is important going from game 1 to game 2.
Joel on the right.
Joel Lorenzi to Oklahoma. Mark, I just wonder what it feels like against Indiana when you're operating in that sort of 15-point to 20-point lead and what you felt was different about the middle quarters of tonight compared to game 1.
I just think you have to understand against them because of the pace and because of the three-point shooting, there's a variance element to every NBA game in this NBA, but certainly in the games that they play. And I just thought we were the aggressor tonight for much of the game, even when we had a lead. I thought the guys did a really good job of keeping the foot on the gas, especially defensively. I thought we really amped it up on that end of the floor. There's a couple times where we got off track on both ends, but we were able to course correct pretty quickly. So I thought the guys did a really good job of just recognizing when we weren't where we needed to be and getting there quicker.
Joe up front.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Mark, what did you think of Aaron Wiggins and just the spark he gave you guys off the bench and the rest of those bench guys as well?
Yeah, they were huge tonight. He was huge tonight. I give him a lot of credit because he was a huge part of our success this season. And in the playoffs, his role's been variant night to night, but he hangs in there. He was huge in the Game 4 win at Denver in that series. And he was massive tonight, went in there with great confidence, didn't go until the second quarter and just dove right into the game. So great professionalism, great readiness, and a huge performance for us, in that situation.
Jenny?
Mark, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Obviously, there was a stretch there in the fourth where Tyrese kind of gets going. But you guys, through 3+, just really held him in check. It seemed like he maybe wasn't getting the ball to teammates, wasn't rebounding maybe as much as he did in the first game. Was that part of maybe keeping him at bay as long as you did? What'd you like about your defense on him?
Yeah, they're not the type of style where you're just like keying on one player, just because of the way they play. And so they're a more conceptual team, and you have to be kind of a conceptual defense against them. And if you do that, I think it has a downstream effect on everybody against them. And so I thought we were able to do that tonight. I thought, like I said to Nick's question, the guys just really improved in a lot of subtle areas, from game 1 to game 2, which is what you have to do in a playoff series to stay ahead of the series.
Barry over here, second row.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. You played your bigs differently today in terms of the rotation. What'd you like about the way Chet and Isaiah played separately and together?
They were both really good in both situations. I thought both of them gave us huge lifts on both ends of the floor. That was one area where we improved tonight, was our pick and roll coverage against their bigs. They're a different look because of the rolling, the popping, just the way they play. And I thought one area that we really improved was on the defensive end in that area of the game. And, they both were great. I thought Chet in particular, he obviously had a rough offensive night in game 1. As always, he rose back up and was really, really good.
Fred Katz from The Athletic. I'm curious how you felt like your offensive process changed from game 1 to game 2, and specifically in just getting into your sets a little earlier. It seemed like you guys were a little more urgent getting into sets earlier in the clock, and how you feel like that affected you guys offensively today.
Yeah, they're a very distinct team. You know, they're not just like a vanilla team. They play a very distinct style. It's part of their effectiveness. And it's both ends of the floor. They have an offensive reputation. They've been kind of branded as an offensive team, but they have a defensive identity as well that's predicated on pressure and perimeter physicality. And I just thought in a lot of areas it'd be easy to just say that one thing looked better tonight, but that would be oversimplifying. I think we were just a little bit better in a lot of different areas of execution, of pace, to your point, organization, decision-making in the paint, aggressiveness at the basket, gathering the ball. We just we're a tick forward in all those areas.
On your right, Sam in the front.
Sam Amick, The Athletic. Mark, with Shai, after game one, there was some discussion that it was a bad 38-point game, which probably speaks volumes about what he's capable of. And then you look at tonight, but speak to the bigger picture. All playoffs long, 36-5. He's kind of creeping up the history charts when it comes to the impact and his ability to meet this moment.
Yeah, unsurprising at this point. It's just kind of what he does. He just continues to progress and improve and rise to every occasion that he puts himself in and that we put ourselves in. And I thought, his floor game tonight was really, really in a great rhythm. I thought everyone played better individually, and I thought we played better collectively, and I thought that was just a byproduct. I give the team a lot of credit because that's a long 48 hours when you lose game one like that, coming into game two. And the guys did a great job of just focusing on what we needed to do to stack to a win tonight, and that's how we got it. So that was individual players, collectively, offense, defense, everything.
Dan over here on the third row on the left.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Along those same lines, Jaylen, 19 points, 5 of 14 shooting, but the impact overall seemed to be here from them. I'm just wondering what you're seeing in terms of the shots he's getting and then his overall floor game, the impact of that.
Yeah, he didn't get off to a great start in his first stint, and then he really settled into the game, and he's huge for us. I mean, it's, all the things he brings to the game, defensively, size, versatility, physicality, offensive, on ball, off ball, that floor is really high. We really need him every single night. And when he has the great offensive nights, then he's unbelievable. But he's a great player independent of that. And I thought he was a great player tonight. He was another guy. He took a nice step forward. I think we all just kind of calibrated to our opponent. But you have to continue to improve in a series. I mean, they're going to go home, be very comfortable. They play very well there in these playoffs. And so if we don't continue to improve, then we'll get caught behind them.
Michael down left.
Mark, Michael Grange from Sportsnet Toronto. I think Shai had 6 assists assists to 6 different players for 3, and fairly critical game, obviously. And what does it say about the kind of trust that exists between him and vice versa in a situation like this, that he's willing to get off the ball and let other guys kind of step up and help?
Yeah, I mean, that's been a mark of his whole season. I think that's an area. The scoring and the efficiency obviously gets a lot of shine, but he's really steadily improved as a playmaker, and he's been doing that for a long time. I thought in game one, like I said, it was as much to do with us calibrating to the opponent and the style, which was very different from really what we've seen in these playoffs. And I thought we did a good job of that tonight. But again, we have to continue to evolve in the series. Indiana's going to do that, and we need to do that individually and collectively.
John in the middle.
Yeah, John Hollinger from The Athletic. Mark, even while keeping the same starting lineup, it seemed as you got into your bench, you stayed much bigger at the 2, 3, 4 than you were in game one, and I was wondering what went into that decision.
Yeah, I mean, just the feedback from game one. We had regular season games that we studied, and we studied their games leading into this, and then we threw out what we threw out in game one. I thought there were a lot of good things in that. I also thought we could push a little bit in terms of size tonight, obviously, with the way that we went. So, it takes discipline, but we try to really use these early games in the series to learn, what our options are and what our trade-offs are, and not assume anything. And that was the intent tonight, is just to get a little bit more information. Now we have it. We'll apply that as we move forward in the series.
Last question in the back center.
Daniel Bell, BSO. Yeah, Mark, compared to game one, defense seemed a little different. Not as many turnovers. Can you just talk about the differences between game one and tonight with the physicality, point of attack?
Our defense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of that's Indiana. There's 2 teams out there, and obviously when teams play against us, they understand that taking care of the ball is critical. And so I thought game one, first half was probably an outlier. And then I do think, when we play smaller, we tend to be a little bit more of a turnover defense. and when we play bigger, we have other strengths. And so it's a combination of things, but I thought overall, every look we threw out tonight, the guys did a great job with.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thank you.
There seems to be a common theme throughout this entire postseason for Oklahoma City. We've heard Coach Daigneault talk about it multiple times. This team continues to evolve with every game, and he mentioned it. It would be easy to look at this game and try to point at one thing that the Thunder did better than they did in Game 1, but he said this group improved in a multitude of areas and subtle ways to make an improvement in this game.
I think that's sometimes sort of the kind of the casual approach is to look at it and just look and say, oh, this player scored a little more, maybe passed it a little better. But there's so many different areas that this team had to kind of come together as. It wasn't just that like Aaron Wiggins played better or Alex Caruso played better. The whole collective group as a team, again, we talked about SGA.
Yep.
He scored fewer points, but I feel like he played a better game.
Yeah.
He managed the game so well throughout it and got good offense, good looks for his teammates. I mean, he finished with 8 assists. He could have had more than that, had a few more shots gone in for the group. So I love what Coach Mark also just kind of pointed out, just kind of how you have to calibrate to your opponent. The Pacers play a very distinct style on both ends of the floor. A lot of people focus on how good they are offensively, but they are also a very unique defensive team, and this Thunder group has had to kind of recondition themselves to how they want to attack them.
It's interesting because Coach Daigneault said they're a very conceptual team.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
like
what
that.
you're referring to there and just how to pick them apart there?
Yeah, and he said you kind of have to play a conceptual kind of defense in a lot
Yeah.
of ways. So, again, that's somewhat of the beauty and the secret sauce of this Thunder defensive unit is that they don't have to play you one way either. Again,
Yeah.
it's not just about the steals, but they have so much personnel. They can play big, they can play small, they can play fast, they can play physical. All those different things add up to why the Thunder are so good is because a certain style can't just disrupt them. They can adjust. They're very versatile in how they can guard opposing offenses.
A lot of different pitches they can throw on both ends of the floor, and we saw a few of them in Game 2 here today. That's why the Thunder are able to walk away with the win. All right, stick with us here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. When we come back, we'll hear from some more Thunder players to continue breaking down this Game 2 win.
My doctor is my hero.
My doctor makes me happy, makes me feel safe.
It helps me get strong.
We're just so grateful that we don't have to travel out of state.
Oklahoma Children's Hospital cares for my child like their own.
Gives us hope. And has our trust.
Last year, 35% of all auto accident deaths were rollovers. If you've been in a wreck, don't hesitate to call us. This is why you need our number in your phone. This could be you.
When you call our firm, you're going to get one of us, not some paralegal or office manager.
Most lawyers, they take more money than their clients. Most of the time, a lot more.
We don't, and we guarantee it.
With OG&E Smart Hours, you control your energy and your savings. If you're a busy bee, go with Smart Hours Daily, where daily price alerts let you maximize savings. Or how about Smart Hours Fixed? Just set it and forget it. Night owl? Choose Smart Hours overnight. No matter which you choose, with Smart Hours, you control your energy and your savings. When you reduce your energy use between 2 and 7 p.m. this summer, you help the grid, the environment, and your wallet. But you have to sign up to save. So sign up now at oge.com/smarthours.
Welcome back to downtown Oklahoma City. We're here inside of Paycom Center right after Game 2 of these NBA Finals. The Thunder defeat the Indiana Pacers 123-107 to knot up this series 1-1. Fassler Hall is now Thunder Hall, your official Thunder watch party destination for the 2025 NBA Finals. Watch the Thunder on the big screen with giveaways, good food, and more. Head to okcthunder.com/Thunder Hall for more info. And these next two games going to be on the road for Oklahoma City, so you can be sure to watch Game 3 at Thunder Hall. Definitely going to need all that energy. And Royce, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but I feel like the Thunder need a little bit more credit for the mentality that they have.
Yeah.
We have to remember, this is a very young group, the youngest group in the postseason, and they came out with so much poise, composure, and focus after falling short in Game 1.
It's a great call because I do think that that should be a big takeaway from this game because if you just zoom out and think about it, you had to wait 8 days to play in your first finals
Yep.
game. So you're anticipating it, you're ready for it, you're going over film, you're game planning, but you're also kind of living in the pressure and the tension of the opportunity that's ahead of you.
Right.
And then the Thunder played what was really a great game one and held control of it throughout. It looked a lot like what people thought it might look like, with the Thunder defense swarming them, building a lead on the Pacers. And then the Pacers, to their credit, did what they have done so well in this postseason, which is steal games. And so now the Thunder got to kind of sit in that on top of it. You had that long wait, and now you got 48 hours that you have to live with the fact of replaying all those moments, what could have happened, maybe this goes your way, lane
Mind
violation.
you, the media is asking you about this nonstop for 48 hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
As well.
Yesterday's like a media day out here, basically, with every player having to talk about it. And so to be able to look, everybody hears about the get back to zero thing.
Yeah.
And, to the people that have followed this group for a number of years, I don't think it sounds cliche. For maybe some of the people that have kind of jumped on along through this run, they're like, that sounds kind of cliche. It is an important element of who this team is.
Yeah.
It is why they've been so good during regular seasons. They don't ride so high and they don't fall apart after losses. They are able to recenter themselves and get back to a baseline of what their standard is when the ball goes up in the air and the scoreboard starts at 0-0. And that is just a critical element of who this team is.
It's so much easier said than done, because when you're out here on the court, you feel all of that energy. You see all of these eyes on you, and the natural human nature might be to press a little bit harder, to try to get shots off a little bit quicker. And if you get rushed, you might get a little bit more antsy out there. But this group has been very composed. And I think a good example of this, of that competitive mentality, is Chet Holmgren, a guy who we probably felt like he didn't have his best game in game one, came out here today and had a really solid night for Oklahoma City, 15 points and a great job around the rim.
And I mean, Chet was so self-aware coming out of game one, too. I mean, he just put it very simply in kind of like elementary basketball terms, like I was playing too fast.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, I think, had to due to the fact that he was probably a little too amped up, wanted to perform at an insanely high level. He played so magnificently well against the Timberwolves. I mean, he was awesome in that series. And I think Chet wanted to continue to double down on that and really show what a great player he's become.
Yeah.
And so, I think for Chet to be able to kind of get back to zero and bounce back, and Chet's got more to give. He is a better player than even he played tonight in a lot of ways. He can finish better. He can make some better decisions, but he's still such an impactful player overall. And what you always know what you're going to get from him is a competitive force, and that's what he played with tonight, and that's why it shows up in the box score in so many ways.
I mean, the way he impacts the game on both ends of the floor cannot be overstated. And also, speaking of Chet, a lineup that we saw out here that we didn't see in game one, the Thunder rolling out their double big lineup, we didn't see any of that in game one. But to your point, Royce, the Thunder has so many pitches they can throw. It's the optionality that they can go to, and it played a factor in this game.
Yeah, they didn't use it a ton. It was kind of almost kind of like situational, it seemed like at times, maybe when they liked the opposing lineup that was on the court. But at one point, even Indiana kind of tried to adjust to it themselves and went kind of double big with Thomas Bryant and I think Siakam out on the floor together at one point. So, look, and we saw where a lot of that work showed up with this group kind of learning that double big lineup with Hartenstein hitting Chet on a lob pass, which is something that this team is able to break down defenses with. So it's like you said, Paris, it's not necessarily, it's been a starting lineup for a lot of this postseason and for a lot of the second half of the year, but it's just something that this team can go to. And I also think it just speaks to how incredible it is that this team is able to flex out of a starting lineup that they've used consistently throughout the playoffs, put Cason Wallace in, and to mainly Isaiah Hartenstein's credit, doesn't miss a beat. Hartenstein was fantastic. He was great throughout this game, played his role well. They can just kind of mold and fit into whatever Coach Mark's asking them to do.
I love that you brought that up, because people will look at that lineup change in the finals and be like, whoa, this is a big deal. Let's not forget, Cason Wallace started 41 games for Oklahoma City this very season. Isaiah Hartenstein has gone in and out of the starting lineup several times, and we've heard from Coach Daigneault when he's pulled Isaiah Hartenstein from the starting lineup. He said, it's about a 2-second conversation. He is such a pro, and it is not much of a conversation
Again,
at all.
I don't want to call out people that haven't followed the team, but that was kind of a conversation in some of the media is like, should they have done that? It's like, that's what the Thunder do. If you've been around the team, they are unafraid to make those sorts of changes. The starting lineup is I don't want to say ceremonial, but it's more kind of matchup based, and it's about situational of like, how can we best attack the beginning of this game? And so there's been situations where the Thunder have moved out of that. And again, that is only a credit to the players themselves for being willing to do that. They're not rigid in what what their roles are and say, no, that can't happen. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at different times this year has adjusted his personal rotations and gone from playing the entire first quarter to suddenly checking out midway through the first quarter, and he's totally cool with that.
Yep.
So that's something that I think is unique to this group and makes them so effective. And again, a lot of people were talking about the starting lineup changing, and they were trying to kind of attribute it to what happened in game one. The Thunder led for 47 minutes and 59 seconds
They sure
of
did.
game one. Had nothing to do with the starting lineup in that one.
Yes, exactly. And it's really interesting because you think about Isaiah Hartenstein in this game, and he was very impactful, only scored 3 points, but then you think of a guy like Kenrich Williams, didn't score in this game, but it felt like he was all over the court. All of these guys impacting in a multitude of ways.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody matters, and it's been kind of the beauty of this postseason run is we've gotten a little taste of it from all these guys. Jay Will with great minutes against Jokic in the Nuggets. We saw Wiggins again tonight. Kaysen Wallace has had big moments in games. All these guys that we've seen throughout the season that have played such effective roles in their roles have shown up in spots. And I love that it really is just kind of in totality just kind of says something metaphorically about this team.
Yeah, there's so much to take away and so many different lineups this team can go to. It is one of their biggest superpowers. All right, let's get you over to the press room now so we can hear from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the podium.
Into 20-point lead against Indiana, and what you felt maybe was different about the middle quarters tonight than the other night.
You have to stay focused on the task at hand. Now, whatever that may be for your team and how you want to attack them or go about the game plan, but you have to lock in and stay focused. And even tonight, we've had some moments of slippage. Now, you're not going to be perfect out there ever, but it goes without saying, like, to make it this far into the season, it's going to take supreme level of focus to reach the ultimate goal. And they're a display of that to the highest form. Like, they play a full 48 minutes, and you can't just throw the first punch. You got to try to throw all the punches all night. And, yeah, that's what we did. We threw enough punches tonight to get a W.
Joe, next.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Shai, what do you think of the minutes that Aaron Wiggins gave you guys off the bench and just his shot making in this one?
Yeah, big time. He, it's impressive to me. Like, he's been exactly who he's been all year throughout the playoffs. Like, sometimes he gets 20 minutes, sometimes he gets 2 minutes, sometimes he gets 10. Like, it's all over the place, and no matter what, he finds a way to impact winning for us. And you need it in the biggest moments. No one-man show can win you an NBA championship. And for him to rise to the occasion and just be who he's been in the biggest moment of his basketball career is it's pretty gutsy. Says a lot about the competitor and the man he is. So hats off to Wiggs.
Dan over here on the left.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. First quarter, pretty tight, only a couple of possessions separation. Then you go off on that big run in the second quarter. I think it was 19-2. I guess just what did you see? What was going on during that run to allow you to establish that separation? And did that kind of feel like you guys play into your identity maybe more than you were able to in game one?
Yeah, we got stops. We ran. We capitalized on our opportunities. We just strung it together. And I think we strung it together more often than we did in game one tonight, especially on the defensive end of the floor.
We're going to go Nick. Mike's coming over.
Shai, I just want to ask you about the offense overall, 25 assists, and it just seemed like you had some of those ball movement plays that we've seen all season long, and why you were able to get to more of that tonight.
Every night me personally, you try to attack the defense, and you try to just, like, make the right play. You try to make them pay for what they throw at you, coverage-wise, scheme-wise. And I think tonight, myself for sure, did a better job of attacking it. But as a whole, we did a better job of attacking it. We were a little bit sticky last game, but you have games like that. It sucks to be on this stage and have games like that, but it is what it is. It's where we are, right? It's where our feet are, and all you can do is try to be better for the next one. And I've said that over the past couple of days, and I think we did a good job of that on both ends of the floor.
Second row on your right.
Shai, Guilherme Sacco from ESPN Brazil. Game one was loud, but today it was loudest. As a Brazilian, I think that it's the closest that you can have to a South American soccer crowd. How much of a factor does they play on your wing?
Yeah, it helps a lot. It feels like throughout the whole playoffs, the crowd has found a way to get louder every game. I don't know how they do it. But yeah, it's special to be able to play in front of them. It honestly, like, it makes the road games a little bit easier because it feels like it's almost not as loud as it's been at home. So yeah, they're special, the best fans in the world.
Fred over here on the left.
Fred Katz from The Athletic. Shai, getting back to the offense, it seemed like you guys really made an effort to kind of get into your sets earlier in the clock and get into that pacing more. How much of a sticking point was that for you? And if so, how helpful was that in just kind of being able to run the offense how you guys normally do?
I'm not too sure. That wasn't like something that we try to emphasize going into the game. But I think we just had a better flow to us tonight offensively, more in rhythm, and I think that is definitely a product of it. You give yourself more time through a possession, you can work it more. Not something we tried to specifically do, but stuff like that definitely helps, the little things.
Fourth row on the right.
Valencia King, Real Talk Sports. Shai, I heard you mention having an extreme level of focus tonight. As you guys head into Indiana, I know the word momentum gets tossed around a lot. Is there a momentum that you can carry over, or is it a reset?
Every game's a reset, especially at this stage in the season. A series looks so different. We've had a series where we lost a game and won the next one by 40. We've had a series where we won 2 in a row by 20 and then lost the next one by 40. So it's like every game's a reset. And basketball reminds you of that. It's very humbling. It shows you that if you don't stay in the moment, if you don't come ready to play, no matter who you are, no matter what you just did, you can get beat and beat pretty bad. And we've learned those lessons, so we should be ready to go.
All right, with us now on Thunder Playoff Postgame, Kenny Hustle himself, Kenrich Williams, joining us on the set. And Kenrich, you've been such a great leader on this team. You have such a great pulse on that locker room. This group came out with such great focus and maturity after a really emotional loss in Game 1. Can you put into perspective how you guys were able to put together such a focused effort here today?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. Definitely was a tough loss, Game 1. It's one of those ones you just like, man, it's like, feels like the world's going to end. But the good thing about it, we woke up the next day and we got a chance to play today. I mean, the locker room was definitely a different feeling after that game, but our team does a good job of kind of getting the 0-0 mindset, and just getting ready for the next game. We watched film on that game, and we seen that, we basically gave that game away. And so we came out tonight, and I'm super happy with the guys and the way we competed.
Could you tell, K-Rich, like early in the game, because again, I mean, we all felt it, the emotions of that Game 1, but could you get a sense, like in the first couple minutes of like, all right, we look like ourselves, we're back, the score started 0-0, we look good?
Yeah, definitely, man. I feel like both games we had great energy throughout the game. I mean, Game 1 we might have played good basketball for like 42 minutes instead of 48. And tonight we put it all together for a whole 48 minutes, and you see what happens when we do that.
Coach Daigneault said you can't just point to one thing in this game that you guys did better maybe than you did in Game 1. You guys improved in a lot of different areas tonight. Are there any that come to mind that you guys did better in this game than maybe in Game 1?
I feel like the third, fourth quarter, those guys kind of got loose a little bit, but we were able to kind of control the game. I feel like that's when Game 1 it got out of hand for us. We let a lot of things slip. So tonight was different, and like I said, man, we watched film on it, and we seen that okay, we should have won that game, but there's a little slippage, and we fixed it tonight.
K-Rich, you're such a great example of what staying ready looks like. Role can kind of fluctuate throughout it. You come in and you make an impact in your minutes tonight, but a guy also, Aaron Wiggins, whose role has kind of been up and down at different times, makes another big impact. What's it like for you guys to be able to try to have that stay ready mentality, especially in the biggest stage possible?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the coaches, they do a good job of keeping us ready behind the scenes. Coach Mark always tells me to stay ready, and I'm pretty sure he tells other guys that as well. Because you never know when your number's going to be called. You never know when you're going to be able to have to step up. And tonight you seen Wiggs had a great game tonight.
Yep.
And we need everybody, man, from 1 to 16, however many we have. We're going to need everybody to stay ready, and because the end goal is to win the championship. So to do that, we got to all be ready.
Kenrich, I want to just take a step back and put into context your journey to get to this point, starting from going undrafted, working your way into the NBA, finding a role in a really nice comfort zone with this team, and now competing for a chance to win an NBA title. Have you been able to reflect at all on just how this journey has been for you?
I have a little bit, but man, I'm super grateful, man. Like I say, every time I'm so thankful that God put me in this position, to be able to play on this stage. Like, I never would imagine that, I have a chance to compete in the finals, and here I am, playing minutes. And, you look back on my journey, from, high school unrecruited to junior college route to, undrafted to, just sticking around, finding a way to stick around. And I'm just super grateful, man, just to be able to be in this position always.
Last thing for you, K-Rich, now transitioning into Game 3, taking it on the road, another 2-day off break, which has been unusual in the postseason. What's the the mindset of a lot of people sometimes underestimate what getting to 0 means. It's for after a loss and after a win. So how do you guys get back to 0 for Game 3?
Yeah, I think just getting back to watching film, seeing what we can do better. I feel like we could play better this game. We played very good, but there's a lot of stuff we can kind of clean up. So that's part of it. Like you said, man, it's kind of irregular how it's been in the playoffs, but having 2 days off is more like mentally staying ready, not getting too high, not getting too low after wins and losses. So just kind of gearing up, and it's going to be fun playing on the road and having a chance to go up in the series. So we're super grateful, and we're looking forward to playing this next game, Game 3.
I know Thunder fans will be locked in on that Game 3 as you guys head out to Indianapolis. Kenrich, thanks so much for the time. Great game tonight.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you.
All right, let's send you over to the podium now. We'll hear from Aaron Wiggins, who's addressing the media.
We'll take first question, Joe, up front on 1.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Aaron, throughout your career here, you've talked about always being ready no matter what role you were put in. What was it like just to have this performance tonight in an NBA Finals game for you?
Yeah, it was cool. Just try to go out there, contribute to the team, help put us in a position to win, and got hot. The guys kept finding me, so just stuck with it.
Well, Aaron Michael Grange, Sportsnet Toronto. A critical must-win game, and Shai was really looking for his teammates, found you and I think 5 or 6 other guys, 4 open threes. What does it say about the trust he has in the group that he goes to work with?
Yeah, it just shows his willingness to, create for other guys. Obviously, everybody sees the points and, how easy it may be for him to, go out there and get 30, 40 points. But when he's out there sharing the ball and getting other guys involved, that's when our team is, at our best. So, credit to him just going out there, playing the game the right way and, continuing to just, help put us in good positions.
Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. Aaron, by all accounts, you've handled the up and down minutes pretty well. But internally, how do you deal with it? You can't like it to, not play in a game, play a little. So how do you deal with it, especially when the games get to this big stage?
Yeah, obviously you're not going to like, the downside to, low minutes or, not playing consistently, a lot every night. But it's the NBA. There's a lot of highs and lows. There are other guys who are going through similar things and guys who have, just kind of earned their rights. So understanding that, I'm still blessed to be in the NBA and do what I love. And at this level, you can't take it for granted. So just continue to stay ready and take advantage of, the opportunities I get.
Nick in the center.
Aaron, it may just be instinctual, but part of this whole conversation is your ability to play off of and alongside every single one of your teammates. I think of your threes, 4 of them assisted by 4 different players. what is it about you and maybe your journey that allows you to just be so fluid no matter who you're out there with?
I mean, just having learned, I think I've been in every different position, whether that's having the ball in my hands, being a second, third, fourth option, and, even coming off the bench. Regardless of what's asked for me, I think I've just kind of had experiences. So regardless of what's asked for me tonight, regardless of what's asked for me, come Wednesday, just being ready and, going out there and wanting to win first allows me to just, be myself.
Over on the right.
Yeah, Aaron, Myron Patton, OKC Sports Radio. You've had some big scoring nights this season, but this is your first NBA Finals. I wonder if those big scoring nights, the regular season, help you adjust to this easier, I guess?
Definitely just, gives you confidence because knowing that, you're capable of and you've done it before, allows you to go out there and play, allows me to go out there, play my game and just play confident, play free. It also kind of just, I think, allows my teammates to trust me and find me at times when I get going. So definitely plays a factor.
Fourth row on the right.
Lindsay King, Real Talk Sports. Thank you for your time. You mentioned just your journey and being ready for the moment. When you think about your hometown, when you first picked up a basketball, how much of your hometown do you carry with you every night when you step out on the court?
Yeah, I think about it all the time. Being from Greensboro, kind of, my journey early on, it built me to be grateful and take advantage of the opportunities I get. The teams that I played for and I was kind of like a late bloomer. That just kind of, helped, my journey. It kind of helped me mentally to not be afraid of, regardless of what moment may be in front of me or regardless of what's asked for me. So I always think back, to being at home and, staying grounded.
Dan here on the left.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Aaron, you were part of that big 19-2 run in the second quarter to kind of blow the game open. Just what were you seeing in terms of what was allowed you to establish that separation? And, the building gets insane, super duper loud when that kind of stuff happens. What does that feel like when you're feeling that game expand like that?
Yeah, I mean, it feels great. I think we just kind of found a rhythm on both ends of the court. We were able to get stops, get out in transition, hit a couple shots, and once we kind of got going, you could kind of just feel the energy, playing a factor in that. So electric crowd tonight, and, they were a part of, that 19-2 run in that second quarter.
Last.
If stay ready so you don't have to get ready were a person, it would be Aaron Wiggins. This guy, as he mentioned, has played in just about every single possible role you could play in on a basketball team. A starter, ball in his hands, second, third option, off the bench, not playing, logging DNPs, and yet he is still ready whenever his number is called. That is so difficult to do at this level.
And like he was asked about too, he will always have the trust of his teammates too because of that.
Yeah.
He walks in the game and he's ready to make an impact, and so are his teammates because SGA is touching the paint, getting downhill, collapsing at the defense, and he's immediately finding Aaron Wiggins on the wing because he has full faith and full trust in Wiggs. And so, it's again like Wiggs talked about, it's so much of what he has built up. That muscle has been built year over year of playing in the different roles. And it's easier said than done, I think, to translate that into Game 2 of the NBA Finals. But again, that's the type of mentality that all these guys have.
18 points for Aaron Wiggins, 5 made threes in this game, a massive boost off the bench for Oklahoma City. All right, stick around with us here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. We'll hear from News 9's own Steve McGeehee right after this.
Hey, have you heard what's happening at Mathis Home? Get new lower prices all summer long with price drop alerts all over the store. They have all the latest looks at unbeatable prices. Like this big sofa with curved arms and 5 plush throw pillows. They dropped the price to just $5.99. That's an incredible value. And with their huge selection, you're sure to find the style that's just right for you. In stock with fast, free delivery. Look for price drop alert tags and save now at your furniture superstore, Mathis Home.
Leadership starts at home. That's why Ford is from America, for America. And with a lineup of our most popular Ford trucks and SUVs, we're for Oklahoma too. Including F-150, Bronco, and Expedition. That's our leadership lineup. Right now, get employee pricing. You pay what we pay. Ford, from America, for America. At your best in Oklahoma Ford dealers. Proud truck partner of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Riverwind is bringing the heat this June at OKC's favorite casino.
So get the party started with the hottest jackpots in town.
Book a stay at our hotel for a weekend of fun with friends.
Win like an all-star on your go-to games.
Grab a bite and a bev at one of our fabulous eateries.
Go for gold with your wild card and play for your chance at $80,000 in our Sunshine Riches giveaway.
For the best summer yet and unforgettable good times, make it Riverwind.
All smiles here inside of Paycom Center at the conclusion of Game 2 of the NBA Finals. The Thunder bounced back after a Game 1 loss, defeating the Indiana Pacers 123-107 to tie this series up 1-1 here tonight. As we welcome you back courtside, you'll notice a new face joining us. This is Steve McGee, News 9's own. And Steve, I just got to get your perspective on the mentality of this group. Royce and I have talked about it. This group has been so mature all season long, but after such a tough loss where they felt like they had that game in their hands in Game 1, and to play like they did tonight was pretty impressive.
Well, obviously I wasn't playing, but I was confident going into this game number 2 that we've been down this road before. They were, 12-2 coming off a loss this year, undefeated in the playoffs, coming off a loss, now 5-0 after defeat. So they had that mentality like we're going to get the job done. I think Chet's shot that thought was a 3, was a long 2, put them up 21-20. They had to lead the rest of the way. That's impressive on a team like this. And every time Indiana made some type of scary run, I would call it, because they can score so quickly. But Oklahoma City had an answer, and I think that's going to give them confidence moving forward. And did Aaron Wiggins get the game ball? Because
I think he should.
Aaron Wiggins shouldn't have the game ball, because coming off the bench, knocking down 5 threes, and Kenrich Williams had very hands-on out there, Caruso as well. So the bench, I thought, made a difference tonight.
Steve, I want to just ask you, what was the last 2 days like for you? Because they were so miserable for everybody. But, what did you see, I guess, from the team as well, just in these 2 days of having to kind of wait, media day yesterday, talking about what happened in Game 1, and to be able to kind of soldier through that to get to this game?
Well, I was at Chet's podium yesterday, and he looked mad because he was mad at himself the way they lost that game, and he knew he'd come out with some energy tonight, and he did just that. I think he had, 15 points, so, and J-Dub played better as well, 19 points, but he was upset, and, when Chet gets upset, he gets motivated. Mark said he would play better, and he did play better tonight, so all around it was a good team win. Now they got to try to get one. I don't know if we can get 2 up there, but we'll try to get 1 in Indiana and come back here 2-2. That's what I'm thinking right now personally.
You mentioned Aaron Wiggins. Him and Alex Caruso, they combined for 38 off the bench. Just a great lift from those two, and really everybody that stepped onto the court. What did you make of the Thunder's second unit today?
Hartenstein, too, is coming off the bench, had some dunks. Him and Chet saw some time together for the first time in this series with the Pacers. I thought they did well, but, that's, the Thunder bench is, they say, the best bench in the NBA. Indiana may have a different opinion on that, but we saw tonight why Oklahoma City has the best bench in the NBA. In my opinion, in any given moment, they can come off the bench and knock down shots. And if it's not Caruso and if it's not Wiggins, it could be somebody else like Isaiah Joe. So, it's going to take those other guys to win this series.
Last thing for you, Steve. We talked about all these other guys. The MVP was sensational tonight, and not just in the way that he scored the ball, but how timely I think some of his buckets were, and also just kind of how he managed the game. What did you see from Shai tonight?
I don't think he forced anything tonight. He let the game come to him. He always says he lets the game come to him, and he went to the line a lot there in the second half because they were fouling him. So he did everything right, kept everyone involved. Did what an MVP is supposed to do, knock down key shots at the right time. He had a nice defensive play as well, 4 steals. Yeah. So, Shai the defender also. He can do it on both ends of the court. So he played like an MVP once again, but they're going to need that, I think, in every game in this series. He's going to have to score 30 or more and have an impact in the game because it's going to take more than just Shai to beat this Pacers team, which we know is really, really good.
Steve, we always love having you on the show. Great insight and so gracious always to give us a little bit of your time. Thanks so much for joining.
I'll see you in Indiana, 6 a.m. flight tomorrow. Here we go.
All right.
Steve's going to go to sleep, and then we're going to go to the podium to hear Chet Holmgren addressing the media.
Joel in the front row on the right.
Joel Lorenzi with the Oklahoman. Chet, I wonder what you've learned about what it takes to sort of operate with a lead against this Indiana team.
I don't think it's anything super tactical. I don't think it's anything X's and O's wise, really. It's just you have to. You can't play like you're up and just try to run the clock out, because they can put points on the board in a hurry. So you got to try to continue to score with them, and then, keep getting stops on the other end, and not even look at how much time's on the clock. You just got to continue to, try and play like the game's tied. Try to keep winning the game each possession, one at a time, and you can't get caught up playing the score.
Front right.
Andrew Schlecht with The Athletic. Chet, you guys are able to convert a lot more shots in the paint and at the rim than you did in Game 1. Just thoughts on how you guys are able to accomplish that?
I think we did a good job of being aggressive and then playing more on 2 feet, making some decisions in that mid-paint area, where in last game we were, kind of just putting up those shots. I think we did a better job of finding some better looks, whether it was dunker spacing or kickouts or whatever it might be. I feel like we did a good job of, slowing down in that space.
Jenny on the right.
Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Hey, Chet, Mark said that Indiana's offense is a conceptual offense, and you have to play conceptual defense against them. I know when it comes to Tyrese, you've got to have great on-the-ball pressure with him, but what are the rest of y'all doing, or what did you do tonight to make his job harder, to make their offense, more difficult for them out there?
We have to play to our principles. We've been working on them all year. We can't just forget who we are, and then we have to communicate. It's really loud in there, and we wouldn't want it to be any other way. The fans bring us a lot of energy, but you really have to communicate when it's loud, especially when somebody's up guarding the ball. They can't see everything behind them, so they're trusting you to communicate with them. And whoever's guarding the screener, kind of, and whether they're in coverage or something else, they got to trust the people behind them to communicate with them what's going on, and trust that everybody's going to be in the right spots, and then just try and execute over and over. It's a long game. There's a lot of possessions. They're throwing a lot of things out there every possession, so you just got to trust that communication and execution will get the job done.
Back left.
Anthony Slater with The Athletic. How good did the big-to-big lob feel, especially considering, you guys didn't even go with the double big lineup in Game 1?
I always love playing with Hart, especially when he's throwing lobs up to me. But at the end of the day, it was just 2 points. It's a good play for us, so we got to look for it whenever that situation's kind of given to us. But try to keep emotions out of it.
Player who gets really upset between games, and that fuels you if you have a bad Game 1, or do you just try to shake it off?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, a little bit of both. You don't want to get so wrapped up emotionally that you can't process why things happened, good or bad. And then you also have to have a level of care. If you're just like, whatever, I don't think that's good either. So I'd say I have a good middle ground of not getting overly emotional, but also caring enough to try and always be better next game, whether I have a good game or not.
Dan on the left, third row.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Seemed like you and Isaiah were both setting ball screens a little bit higher tonight, maybe a little bit closer up to half court. Just wondering what benefits that provides for Shai or for Jada when they're getting downhill?
I wouldn't necessarily say that that's like a tactical point or anything. I'd say that's just where the screens happen to be set.
Marcus, back left.
Marcus Thompson with The Athletic. Chet, how would you explain or describe Caruso's energy levels for a 30-year-old man?
Don't disrespect our GOAT like that, man. He's one of those guys who is going to bring it every single night, whether he's 22 or 30. It doesn't matter. He's going to bring it, and I feel like as a collective, we really feed off of that, and then also his ability to kind of process things that are happening out there and relay it and communicate it to everybody else is really important for us. So, hopefully that doesn't fade away as the years go on.
Last two questions. Fourth row on the right.
Valencia King, Real Talk Sports. Chet, Mark mentioned how he knew as a collective you guys would improve from game 1 to game 2, but specifically you. When you think about his belief in you, how has he helped you grow, not even just on the court, but even off the court as a player?
It's extremely important. When other people instill confidence in you, it allows you to play more confident, allows you to have trust in what's going on, have trust in what he's telling me and us as a collective. And then also a big part of that is he has to trust that I'm going to do everything it takes to be better after bad games or bad plays or whatever. It's all about trusting that the other party has the right process in mind. He always has the right process in mind, and I try to as well. And from there, you can kind of build out a good working relationship, good ability to continue to improve and be better together.
Last one on the right, fourth row.
Adam Francisco, Suave Report. This was OKC's first finals win since June 12th, 2012. What does it mean, or what does that mean to you, and what were you doing in 2012?
2012, I was stuffing in the back of a SUV going on 12-hour car trips for AU tournaments and sitting playing, what's that game? It's like Jetpack Joyride on the iPads in the back of the car. That's a pull right there. But yeah, it's hard to think about stuff like that because we are in it. We won a game, but that isn't the end goal. So we got to continue to try and be better as the series goes on.
Thank you, Chet.
Great to hear where Chet was in 2012. I know where Royce was in 2012. Right here.
I was.
Inside of this building here in Oklahoma City. I was a sophomore in high school. It's neither here nor there. But great perspective there from Chet Holmgren regarding his mentality, but also this team's mentality here in this game today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Chet, I think, we heard it from Steve McGehee too, of just kind of how he recounted Chet's kind of frustration that he was open with yesterday at Media Day. And, again, Chet is a massive competitor. The guy lives to hoop. And so, I mean, you kind of got a sense of it just the way he was able to call back to what he was doing when in 2012 and on the road to go play an AAU tournament. The guy loves to play basketball. He loves to compete. And so this is the biggest stage to do it on. And he didn't perform up to what he would say would be his standard in game 1. And so he was ready to come out and in a lot of ways show how this team was able to turn the page, get to baseline, and perform in this game too. And Chet was sensational throughout it. And I think, again, the best is yet to come for Chet in this series. I think that he's got more to give when this series transitions to Indiana.
And don't forget, it's just his third year, just J-Dub's third year as well. So, yeah, a lot more to give in this series, but also a lot more to give in terms of their career trajectories as well. Very exciting when you start to think about it. All right, we've got more coming for you here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. We'll get you all squared away, everything you need to know for Game 3 out in Indy.
Let Love's be your partner on your summer RV trip. Fuel up, grab a bite to eat, and stay the night at one of our 90 RV stops. Reserve an RV spot overnight and turn on amenities from your phone. With over 420 dog parks, we've even got your furry family members covered. We're the perfect pit stop for your next road trip. Love's, the heart of the highway.
Last year, 35% of all auto accident deaths were rollovers. If you've been in a wreck, don't hesitate to call us. This is why you need our number in your phone. This could be you. When you call our firm, you're going to get one of us, not some paralegal or office manager. Most lawyers, they take more money than their clients. Most of the time, a lot more.
We don't, and we guarantee it.
Experience the sweet, vibrant flavors of Mexico in every spoonful of Brahms' new fancy sundaes. Enjoy a cascade of fresh fruits on Brahms' Tarta de Fresa Crema Sundae. Indulge in creamy cinnamon-kissed ice cream with silky caramel on the Chongo's Zamorano Sundae. Dive into strawberry paradise with Brahms' Fresas con Crema Sundae and savor each caramel-filled bite of Brahms Sopapilla Cheesecake Sundae. Authentic flavors, bold traditions, and irresistible sweetness in every scoop only at Brahms.
The NBA Finals here in Paycom Center in downtown Oklahoma City. What an exciting game. The Thunder bouncing back here in Game 2 to defeat the Pacers 123-107 to tie this series up 1-1. Now, let's sit you over to the press room now so we can hear from Jaylen Williams, J-Dub, who's at the podium.
We'll take questions around the room. Please raise your hand. First row, fifth row in the right there.
Kelly, you're the Athletic. Jaylen, between you, guys like Alex and Lou, you guys have a number of high-level defenders. How do you determine the plays on which you want to switch the screen or you want to stay attached? How do you guys figure that out in real time?
Communication. Can y'all hear me? Is that good? Just communication, I think, is the biggest part of that. Obviously, we have schemes in place, and I don't want to get into too much matchup-oriented stuff, but a lot of it is just being physical up until the screen, making sure our communication's early and loud, and that's been kind of the biggest thing. And then from there, like you said, we have really good defenders that can sniff a lot of plays out. So being able to talk it, and I think there's an old saying talk it, touch it, switch it, that kind of thing. So probably in replace of the switch it part, but a lot of it is just being close enough to your man to be able to hear what the coverage call is and do that whole thing.
Barry?
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. Jaylen, I'm sure you got 1,000 things to worry about getting ready for a Game 2. Minutes is not one of them. You know you're going to play a big chunk of the game. Aaron Wiggins, not that way. Doesn't know if he's going to play, doesn't know how much. He gets thrown out there and has a game like he has. How much do you respect a guy that can come out and just cold call play like that?
It's the hardest job in the league, I feel like. I think it goes underrated. That's a really good question. That goes really underrated. It's really hard to stay engaged and stay ready. And for him to be able to do that on the biggest stage that he's ever played on and have a really good game, he's a very special player. So I always keep that in mind. And yeah, it's a really tough job, and he does it very well.
Fred, over here on the left.
Jaylen, Fred Katz from The Athletic. I'm sure there have been, obviously you've competed against Alex Caruso as an opponent. I'm sure there have been times where drills, scrimmages, whatever, where you guys have been on opposite teams. What is that feeling like when you have to dribble and Alex Caruso is right in front of you?
I don't know. I'd be frying AC, so I don't really know. No, but he's a really good defender. Great hands, good feet, physical, smart. So when you add all that together and the amount of years that he's been in the league, I can imagine it's probably a little uncomfortable.
Jenny, front right.
Hey, Jaylen, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. There was a stretch there in the fourth where Tyrese got going a little bit, but with the exception of that, you guys held him well in check, not just points-wise, but really not affecting the game as much as he's capable of. What's key against him? I mean, I know on-the-ball defense is important, but what else has to happen to keep him at bay like you guys did for 3+ quarters tonight?
A lot of it is just trying to make his life really difficult. Kind of the same way they're doing with me and Shai, and just us in general. He's a good player. He's gonna affect the game without even, even if he has an off night, him being on the floor, he's gonna have some type of impact on the game. So a lot of it is just trying to make it really hard for him to get to spots and understanding what he likes to do and try and turn that off. But like I said, he's a good player. He's gonna be out there. Just him being out there, he's gonna affect how we play defense. So I think taking that into account is big for us.
Seventh row on the right.
Jaylen over here, Myron Patton, OKC Sports. You guys have talked about how you really have to stay engaged. A lead is never safe with them. It's part of the problem, too, that they really test your defense because it seems like at all times they've got 5 guys that they all can score. You can't really take a break on any of these guys.
Yeah. Like I've been saying, they're really similar in how we play, too. So we've been able to understand that. I think the last game they had a lot of guys in double figures. That's what makes them dangerous. The same way that we have like Aaron Wiggins and guys that don't play that can come in at any moment, they have kind of the same thing going for them. So we just got to understand that and be ready throughout the whole entire game.
Tim, right here.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. Dub, with Shai, they're obviously, like you said, throwing a lot of stuff at him. What did you think of kind of his decision-making tonight as far as like when to attack, when to split double teams, when to get off the ball and let you other guys make plays?
He's just getting better and better, which is very impressive. Obviously, he's the MVP of the league, so for him to continue to get better is good. And then he just trusts us to make plays. So I think when your best player is out there and he trusts you to make a play, it just gives you more confidence, and he understands that. And I think that's one of the roles that he's gotten really good at and something that he's grown at, and it just makes our team better.
You guys are able to convert a lot more shots in the paint and around the rim tonight as opposed to game one. What went into that?
Focus. Some of it too is just you got to stick with it. Like basketball, like you're gonna have games where like you don't make shots. You have bad games where you miss layups. Like it's more about the process of how you're getting to the rim and how you're going about like certain offense. And I think if we just continue to stick with that, and Mark always says just getting better through every game, I think we'll be in a good spot. But a lot of it is just like being persistent with it.
Being persistent, growing through every game. You hear all of these players talking about it. It's not just Coach Daigneault and Coach Speak. It is really the culture of this locker room. Every single guy believes it and is out here actually doing it.
Yeah, no question. And, Dub, just the way that he was able to kind of turn the page himself, he's been a great picture of that throughout this postseason. There's a lot of attention on him as a co-all-star with SGA. He's third-team All-NBA, and he's somebody that carries a lot of responsibility for this team.
Yeah.
And, he's had games where he hasn't performed to his level, but he's consistently been able to get to zero and bounce back himself and play extremely well following it up. And even tonight, he had some shots I'm sure he'd like back, but his impact all over the floor was felt all over. And the force that he played with Paris, getting to the free throw line 9 times, that's always a great sign for Dub. Whether the ball's going in the basket for him, sometimes that can be a little bit volatile. But when you see the free throw numbers tick up, that means he's playing downhill, and that's always a great thing for this team.
Yeah, playing with force is always the number one priority, I feel like, for J-Dub when he's out there, especially on the offensive end of the floor. Now, getting back to 0-0, we hear about it after a loss, but the Thunder definitely going to do that after a win as well. Let's take a look at the series schedule here. Game 3 and 4 going to be out in Indianapolis. Game 3 is going to be on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Same thing, 7:30 on Friday for Game 4. There will be a Game 5, and that'll be here at Paycom Center on Monday at 7:30. So, Royce, as you look ahead now, the Thunder next 2 games going to be on the road. You know that Indianapolis crowd is going to be loud. They're going to be rowdy. What's key for Oklahoma City going into the Pacers arena there?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. I mean, that's one of the best arenas in the NBA. Great fan base, and they're going to be teed up for this one in a lot of ways. And we often hear about it. The teams playing on their home floor. A lot of times it's about role players are a little more comfortable there, and then teams are able to kind of play faster. Well, the Pacers play fast wherever they go. So
Right.
I don't think that that's necessarily a concern you got to deal with. But what you may have to deal with is when they are playing fast and they kind of get some of those threes to go in, the momentum shift that you can kind of feel in a building on the road feels different than when it does at home. So kind of weathering some of those storms and, of course, taking the defensive mentality that this team has, just as Dub said, making their lives really, really hard on the offensive end. If they're going to score on you, make them earn it every single possession.
Well, the Thunder's been one of the best road teams in the NBA all season long, and it's because of their ability to cut out the noise around them. Going to have to do that kind of literally in Gainbridge Fieldhouse because it's certainly going to be loud in there. But that wraps us up here inside of Paycom Center. What an exciting game we had. NBA Finals Game 2. The Thunder walk away victorious, and truly such a scene inside of this building. Once again, our final score 123-107, with the series now tied 1-1 and heading to Indianapolis for Games 3 and 4. For Royce Young, I'm Paris Lawson. A reminder to join us for a complete breakdown and reaction following Game 3 on Wednesday. Until then, good night from Paycom Center in downtown Oklahoma City.